Everybody, it's Bill Foster with his lovely wife, Malika Foster.
Hi.
We have a wonderful show today. I have three phenomenal individuals with me today. And uh, it's more special to myself because these are my martial art brothers. And I think in the martial arts, I think, we can all know about the fighting and the katas and the things of that magnitude. But wonderful show today. I have you're gonna have somebody
Just turn the volume down.
Turn your volume down. Turn your volume down. That way, put it on silence. Yeah, like I was saying, these brothers are so phenomenal to me because besides just martial arts, we understand the degrees of the belt, but it's more than just fighting and katas. It's giving back to the community. I don't know any real martial artist that doesn't give back to the community. And with that being said, these brothers, I met them through the arts, and I'm part of the Sledge group, which I'm very proud to be a part of. This other brother I met at a Hall of Fame banquet, and I was blown away by his speech. His father and I have hit the dojo floor many times together. And I told his father I wanted to reach out to him and help him any way I could. I haven't been able to do that, and this is my way of trying to help just keep him alive. He is doing his thing without me, but I think we as people of color, we need to support each other, and this is what it is. The Sledge Foundation, I'm the organization. After I met Soki, I was blown away by him, just his humbleness to be who he is, and his wife. And when I met his wife, when I came by Toro College, she was very cordial and nice, and we just sat down, and he had me get up right away and do a presentation on interaction with law enforcement, right? It just threw me right into the fire, and I was like, oh, okay. And, this is what we're built for. And I've just always told him, and I reached out to both of them, and I told him, I said, it's important that how could I be a part of the Sledge group and not reach back and have him? And the first thing he said was real talk, using the slogan, which was awesome. And I've been, like I said, I've been chasing Kareem over. He's been so busy doing what he does, him and his wife. And, he had a Zoom call. We're going to talk about that too, about fatherless children. And it was just phenomenal. And we were just conversing, and everybody was just chiming in and just chiming in and chiming in. So I want to introduce the Sledge, and I want to introduce Mr. Kareem Hines. So first and foremost, this is Real Talk Chronicles. If you like it, share it. Tell them, right, sweetie? This is what we do, right?
Please share it.
And
yes.
share it. It's YouTube. For those who missed today's show, we'll be on YouTube. We'll have it on YouTube, and the three of them will have the link, and they can share it, and they can tell you and give it to you, and you can see them tell their phenomenal stories.
And one thing I want to mention is that I will be keeping track of the comments and questions that are coming through. So I'll be sure to read them for our guests, but we're only able to view the comments that are coming through on Bill Foster's Live. So if you're looking at it through someone else's share and you want your comment to be read, then hop on over to Bill Foster's page. I'll read it for you.
Or if somebody's on your page and one of you are able to monitor it, just listen, tell us, and we'll read the questions or send it to us. We don't care. With that being said, I will let the Sledge, we'll go with, first and foremost, let me give respect to my martial arts brother. Yes. Right? Yes. Kareem, we will go with the senior man first. I will go with Soki and his wife. Please introduce yourselves and tell us how long you've been doing mentoring, and then we'll get back into how you got into mentoring. But I just want you two to introduce yourselves, and then we'll tell Kareem to do the same. So go ahead, Soki.
Are you giving it to me first?
Yes.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yes. I'm a smart man.
Greetings, family. I am Debra Sledge, the Chief Operating Officer and the co-founder of the Sledge Group Inc. We have been doing mentoring, community-based mentoring for the last 20 years. In 2001, we started. We're currently based in Harlem, although the children that we serve come from the 5 boroughs. And I know you're going to come back later with some questions about mentoring, so that's who I am for now.
And I am Mychal Sledge, Chief Executive Officer, co-founder for the Sledge Group, Inc. And it's 20 years as a nonprofit, as a 501(c). We've actually started Sledge Group in 1998. We are one of the oldest mentoring programs, free mentoring programs. I emphasize that, free, for 20 years in Harlem, for both young men and young women. And we're based at Toro College, right across the street from the Apollo Theater, 230 West 125th Street. And we're doing Zoom meetings now because of COVID-19 every Wednesday, every Friday for the young folks. And I need to really thank you guys, your Dynamite husband and wife team, for just inviting us and acknowledging the work that my wife and I do, and Kareem as well, the work that we do in the community. We don't document our history, man. We don't document our work in our community. And this is one good form of documenting it. And I'm going to stop there, but I just appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you.
I appreciate you.
Thank you. Now I got my brother over here, Mr. Kareem Hines. Please, Kareem, please elaborate, tell everybody, tell the world what you do, brother. Got to unmute yourself. Yes, sir. There you go.
I apologize. My name is Kareem Hines. I'm the founder of the New Boy, which stands for New Breed of Youth, Mentoring and Youth Development Program. I echo the sentiments of the brother before me, and just saying thank you, for the platform that you and your wife have provided for us to be on this call tonight, to educate people, to create awareness, to share our stories, and also, like the brother said before me, to document, some of the work that's going on in our communities, not just locally, but nationally. I started the New Boy Mentoring Program about 15 years ago here in Indianapolis, Indiana, and it derived from a passion of just knowing the power of a relationship. I started being mentored at the age of 6 at the Harlem YMCA from my karate instructor, Kashinda Lamar Thornton, and just the people that I've met, through the YMCA. And, as I, came up, I knew the power of a relationship, and I always aspired to have my own mentoring program. I was fortunate enough to be introduced to my wife here in Indianapolis, Indiana, who also has her own mentoring program. So it's just a blessing to be able to do it and come home to somebody that can relate. So as the brother before me, I'm pretty sure can attest to, when I come home and we share our stories, there's no such thing as leaving work at work when you're mentoring young people, especially when you're both involved in it. But it's a beautiful thing because we grow together, we learn from each other, and it has gotten me to this point. So thank you. I'm looking forward to this conversation.
It was so funny that you said about you being mentored at a young age. I would have asked you all, I'm a firm believer what Malika and I are doing. It's God's calling. There's always something that puts you on a path, and how do you get on the road? I want to ask you all, how did you finally say, I'm going to embark on doing mentoring? And I'll start with you, Kareem. I know you just said something about being at 6, but elaborate exactly how you decided to really, this was a passion and a calling. And then I'll go to the Sledge family. Go ahead, Kareem, first.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Well, again, I started martial arts at the age of 6. I grew up in Harlem, New York, 135th Street and 7th Avenue. I've seen it all, coming from Harlem. And my father was unselfish enough and humble enough to understand that it took more than him. And that's when he introduced me to the Harlem YMCA, when I got linked up with some other brothers over there. And I love the YMCA. I love what it did for me. That's where I met a lot of positive male role models. They just instilled in me the purpose of giving back. And I know from my friends who didn't have mentors, and for that matter, didn't have dads. My dad was the dad to the whole community. So I know my friends who didn't have dads, and I saw the path they were going. Mm-hmm. I always had a built-in excuse, to not get into the trouble they got into, whether it's my father was going to come and beat my behind, or my karate instructor was going to come out that YMCA and see me across the street. So I had a built-in excuse. So they knew what it was. And then my mentor, Damon Downson, I met him at the Harlem YMCA. I made some mistakes in my life. I was 19 years old, and I was kind of at the bottom. And my mentor had moved from the Harlem YMCA to Indianapolis, Indiana. And I'd messed up some opportunities in New York City. I'd kind of fractured some relationships. The streets got a hold of me. And when Damon moved away at 18, when I was 19, he called me back and said, "Hey, man, do you want to come out to Indianapolis, Indiana for the summer?" I said, "Nope, I'm not coming to Indiana." I was right around the Knicks and the Pacers. Right. Going at it. That's all I knew about Indiana. I thought cornfields. But I was like, I can't leave Harlem to go to Indiana. I was like, nah, but thank you. He was like, "Hey, man, if you come out and work for the Y, you'll earn enough money to get you a car." and then you can get your car and drive back to New York. I was like, now you got it. Because back then we didn't drive. So for me to be 19 and be able to come back to Harlem with a car, I was like, you got it. And I trusted Damon because he was my mentor. So he gave me a ticket, man, flew me out. And I still get my fix. You know, if you come from New York, you know, a lot of people that don't, you know, live in New York will ask you, why'd you leave New York? But you get so used to that hustle and bustle in New York. You don't want to do that every day. You know, I got to go back and get my fix a couple of times a year. But when I got exposed to something different, I was sold. I was sold. And I stayed out here, planted myself, met some good people. And the old adage is true. If you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. So I came out here with a hustle mentality. Midwest is kind of a little bit more laid back, and went through my trials and tribulations, man. And I never left. But I always knew the power of a relationship, because if my mentor could get me to Indianapolis, Indiana, I wanted to have that same kind of effect on other young men. You know, I know the relationship that me and him had, and I wanted that. I wanted to be involved in young people's lives, so when they grew up, they could look back and say, that man right there helped me. I love how I felt about my mentor, and I know he loved how I felt about him. And I wanted that same feeling from other young men.
Oh, awesome. That's a beautiful story, brother. The beautiful Sledges. What about you? How did you two get involved in this?
So our reasons are a little bit different.
Just a little bit.
I grew up in South Ozone Park, Jamaica, Queens, two-family household. My parents were very involved, for lack of a better way to put it. You know, when the street lights came on, I was supposed to be on the stoop. While they were very involved, there were some conversations that I couldn't have with my parents. You know, as open as they were and as understanding as they were, there were just certain conversations I couldn't have. And so I had conversations with my friends on the street. And the information that I got was not always the best information. And so in my growing up, I went through a lot of trials and tribulations. I'm grateful that I was able to make it through and get to a point at my life where my head was on straight. And then with us having children, and then me looking at my daughters and realizing that there were conversations that I couldn't have with my parents. So they had to be in the same predicament, you know, where there were conversations that they couldn't have. And if that was the same for them, then it was the same for other young ladies. And so Mychal had started the boys program, and I says, no, we have to have the girls because they need the space too. And that's basically is how, the girls program is run. They call it a safe haven, and it's a place for them to be able to come and share anything from A to Z and get positive feedback, positive information back, rather than getting it from their peers on the street who know just as much as they do, where they can get some real experience, strength, and hope on the challenges that they face as young people.
That's awesome. That's beautiful.
Now, the little bit of different story is, it's where I grew up. I grew up in Harlem, USA, 143rd and 8th Avenue, Jew Hamilton Projects. Born in Brooklyn, raised in Harlem. And like my young brother, Hines, I was introduced to the martial arts at the age of 10. I'm the oldest. It was really about protecting myself and getting from one block to the next. I lived on 8th Avenue. I went to Old Douglas on 7th Avenue, and it was fighting every day, strictly fighting every day. And if you won the fight, you had to fight somebody's brother the next day, and somebody's sister the next day, and somebody's brother the next day. And I remember one of my pops, and I saw a martial arts demonstration around 9 years old, peg leg baits, and it was Tong Dojo, and had no clue what my father introduced me to. Master James Cooper at a Salem Projects, actually Salem Methodist Church. At that time, it was the oldest Shotokan school. Baba, Professor Hamilton had a school on the east side. Lamar was set up in Crescendo was set up in the YMCA. But like my wife, I came from a two-family household, very religious, very Christian based. But the streets were rough. The streets were really, really rough. And by the age of 15, I made first degree black belt in Shotokan Karate, first degree black belt in Sen-no-Kuru Jiu-Jitsu. And I had no more problems walking the streets of Harlem at 15. Not, absolutely not. And what I realized, I mean, we met at work. We're both retired federal employees. And we met at work. And I remember coming home and saying, I want to start a nonprofit. And that we're going to take our vacation money and use it to start this 501(c)(3). And she didn't bat an eye. She said, okay, you know.
Wow.
Yeah, but the condition was the girls program has to be incorporated, because I was already working with the young brothers in the Bronx. And we did that. And, you know, we didn't call it mentors back then. We had coaches, we had football coaches, you know. I really have been blessed to have a lot of great men in the martial arts world in my life. I sat at the foot of Professor Moses Powell. I sat at the foot at George Cofield, Thomas LaPuppet. I sat at the foot of the greatest. Even when I made the U.S. karate team, I'm with Chuck Merriman, who I still communicate with just prior to this call, in terms of as a coach and a guide to take me through life and difficulties. Like my wife, you know, I couldn't bring a lot of conversations home, you know, to my parents, man. I was misinformed by the misinformed on the streets who had no clue they were misinformed, you know? So the direction of setting up a mentoring program, we witnessed something in the process of training. There's a lot of mentoring programs in New York, but they don't service our community.
Absolutely.
They have no clue of that project life, of that avenue life, of that drug addiction life, of that single parent household life. So we took training at Cornell University. We took training with other mentoring organizations, and we started our own. We wrote our own mentoring manual because their manual wasn't conducive to our community. And this is 20 years back. You know, we're both educated. And this is what I share with a lot of people that don't know. People think we've done mentoring for 20 years and that's all we did. I retired as an executive from the federal government with 34 years. My wife retired with 34 years as an executive in headquarters, while still running a mentoring program in the evenings in Harlem.
Excellent.
Our children was a need, but what was going on in the streets with the gangs, and I have daughters, man. Just getting them home safe while I'm at work was important. We both have fathers, you know, who have since passed on. But my father told me, man, you don't get a ticker tape parade for raising your own children. You want a parade, help somebody else's kid. And he not only talked that talk, he showed me, man. I had kids in my house in the morning eating breakfast with me and my moms before we went to school. I'm a little bit older than Brother Hines, man, but I've seen some things from you know, the Nation of Islam, from the Black Panthers on 7th Avenue and Lenox Avenue, and the feeding the kids in school, man. They stopped public school, so we ate breakfast in the morning. I'm really compelled to why and passionate about why why we do mentoring and the importance of it in our community, especially now.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, no, hey, listen, this is real talk. And one thing with Malika and I, we both believe in is real talk. And that's what we tell everybody. This is Real Talk Chronicles. Like I said, if you like it, share it. Everybody out there, just go under the what we're doing right now and share it. We have phenomenal martial artists here today. I know Kareem was fighting out there and a champion. I just want to give a lot of shout outs to the martial artists that are looking in right now. Master Sister Brenda, Master Phil McCrae is in the building. Master Andre Richardson is in the building. My teacher. And you know, funny how him and I still converse. And then after that, I went into the jiu-jitsu under Malik Shabazz, under Sophie Littlejohn, and then I studied with Dose, Michael Robinson, and I was doing that. And then now I still study under Mutsuwea, Monroe Romero. So you know, I try to keep it. And Lamar is like a big brother. I feel like I'm part of his student. Like Sophie, like I would tell you, like I feel like I'm part of yours. Kareem with Dojo Brothers. So this is a martial arts love affair that we have right now. And Jug wanted this. Jug said, "What's up?" He said, "Mychal Sledge, martial arts legend, fought in the U.S. karate team in the AAU. Traveled the world, nickname Look Up, because once he hits you, he was looking up." And that's what it is. No way. And I think, you know, what's so funny, Soki, you know this also too. When we were at one of your sessions, and you were having a conversation with a young man, and he kept being a little disrespectful. Whatever it was, he was yarning and stuff like that. And one of your mentors at the time said, "Listen, you're gonna find out why they call him Look Up." And I told him, I said, "Nah, you ain't calling me Look Up, but you're gonna be looking up, because if you disrespecting that man, that's not gonna happen on my watch." Now, I've always paid homage. I'm always humble to the martial arts world. Kareem is like that. Kareem calls me Mr. Forster. We're gonna stop that after the day. But you, my brother.
Just a respect.
Oh no! I know that. I mean, I'm old enough that I got some knowledge. I just try to keep it raised going, but it is what it is. But you know what's so funny? What we were talking about, the martial arts seemed like it became a safe haven for us in a minute, and I'm going to just touch on this a little bit. Kareem, you talked about it, that you started when you was young. Soki, you talked about it when you started when you was young. Kareem, I think you implement martial arts into some of your curriculum, correct? Is that true?
Yes, martial arts and boxing, without a doubt.
Okay. Soki, I don't know if you do that. I don't know if it's because of the space. I don't know. I'm asking. But I want the Sledge family right now just to give us a brief synopsis of what goes on in the course of a mentoring session with the Sledges.
Okay, I want to answer your question though, because it's real important to me and to Brother Hines, right? What we and it's in our mission statement, and my wife will give you our mission statement in a minute. But what was imperative to me after studying the arts for so many years is what's the biggest thing that I gained as a man, from a child to a man, and what I gained was the spiritual principles of honesty, commitment, integrity, dedication, discipline. And that's what we incorporated into the mentoring program. I loved your interview last week with my brother Cliff in the Rites to Passage. And I always give homage to him because he has the oldest program in Harlem doing the work of mentoring. And we have a mutual love and respect for each other. But when I think about the holistic approach of how we mentor our community, is threefold. I don't believe in there's no disrespect to Brother Hines or anyone else that's doing mentoring with kicking and punching. Many of us have no clue on the code of Bushido, on the way of martial arts, or the D-O, which is the way of life in terms of excelling. I was taught to avoid fights. Even if the bully is coming after me, mentally, I should be able to not have to put my hands on him. And as you know, once I put my hands on you, you looking up. It's all right. It's no 20-minute fight. It's no 30-minute fight. I'm not cracking a sweat. But if I can teach these young people some integrity, some honesty, some open-mindedness, some willingness, just some spiritual principles, I got you. Yes. The physical part of kicking and punching is easy, man. It's so easy. Yes. We were breaking boards and bricks as teenagers. But what about the concept of the mind, body, and spirit? Yeah. What about that in terms of mentoring? And that's kind of what makes us unique with our program.
So there's another piece of that too. Because we focus on the children, the young people excelling in their school, in their community. But what we've been finding a lot of, and especially over the last couple of years is that we're working with 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds who at that young age have already been introduced to some form of trauma, right? And so we do a lot of work on uncovering that and healing that, so that they're not 59 years old or 30 years old trying to deal with some childhood trauma that was never addressed. I'm seeing more and more where they are willing to accept therapy or willing to go to therapy. But if I'm looking at a young person that's been in for therapy for 7 years and you're still dealing with the same issue, then there's something else going on. I've had the fortune of being trained with Queen Afua as a sacred woman practitioner, and also energy healing with pranic healing. And so we've been able to incorporate that into the work that we do with the young people. so we can kind of dig and kind of like release the trauma now, so they're not going through life making the mistakes based on early trauma.
When I say that we have a holistic approach to it, Jeffrey Noble, one of Major Wallace's top black belts, has an organization called the Noble Touch, and he's trained both me and Debra and my daughter on pranic healing. You know, the Queen of Fua approach to healing as well. And you know, we talk about the guns, we talk about the violence, and my wife is right. There's so much trauma embedded in the belly, in the root of the tree. And for me personally, I grew up with trauma, and no one knew when I got in the ring and won grand championship after grand championship after grand championship that my anger was the reason I won. Because psychologically, I saw something every time I stepped in the ring. So we're not just cutting the tree down, we're getting to the root and pulling the whole root up so that tree doesn't come back again. You know, and a lot of us won't acknowledge it because we lived it, man.
Yeah.
Growing up on the streets and growing up in an abusive household, and I'm not talking physical, but growing up in an abusive household, verbally, sexually, mentally, will ruin any human being into their adulthood. So we've been blessed to be able to reach him at a young age. And this is where I get emotional. Now I see him 25, 27, 30 years old and Bill, they're productive members of society. There's school teachers, there's engineers, they're working with other kids. You know, that's the blessing to us.
Awesome thing that, you know, everybody can have different ways of getting there, because there's always a different way to get home. You know what I'm saying? You can come from the east, you come from the west, come from the north, south. But as long as we get home, and the beautiful thing, like you said, martial arts is a thing. Like when I go around the schools all over New York City or any place I've gone, and the one thing, depending on how bad the school is, and I've had teachers tell me, or principals or deans say, Bill, be you. And then I run down, the law enforcement careers, and then I go through the martial arts stuff, and then I let the kids know I'm not binded by anything here. So I'm not going to let you disrespect me. Martial arts is a dictatorship, and we all know that. You do what I say, not what I do. I mean, even when I went to the Harlem Children's Zone and I taught there, but the one thing kids, a lot of times they understand respect and they want respect. Get it to give it. With that being said, please just let us know what's a course, a beautiful thing, how you implement anything in what you do in your martial arts or your curriculum at all, please.
Man, I feel like I'm being educated from the masters being on this call, man. Brother Sledge, I just want to sit back and listen, man. It's beautiful to learn the history, man.
Yes.
I'm still an open book, and every day is a learning experience for me. But I want to piggyback on something Brother Sledge said. He said he earned the rank of first degree black belt at 15, and he had no problems walking the streets of Harlem. And to his point, I don't think it was his physical presence, because martial arts teaches you humility. So for me, I earned my black belt right around the same time, and it was just the way you carried yourself. Mm-hmm. It's the way you carried yourself. It was your humility, the way I interacted with my peers, which led me to not having problems. It wasn't because I was walking around with my belt or my gi on. They said, "Oh, that young man knew karate." They almost want to test you even more back then if you knew karate, just to see if you really knew, what you said you knew. But I think it's the humility, knowing your presence. And here in Indianapolis, Indiana, our mentoring program, we have a community-based prevention program where we work with young men and young ladies who are not in the system. But about 75% of the young men and young ladies we work with are on probation, on juvenile probation. So they're in the system, and we get direct referrals from the court. And to Brother Sledge's point, there's so much trauma that they've experienced in their lives. You have to be trauma informed. And not only, trauma informed is like this cliche, and everybody has a mentoring program is trauma informed, but you have to be trauma responsive. Mm-hmm. So when these young men and young people get in your program and you start to unpack that trauma, can you respond in the appropriate way to deal with the deficit? Because you got the surface issues, but there's some underlying trauma, which you spoke about, Brother Sledge, that they're really dealing with. And because I know how my trauma got unpacked, with
Yeah.
my dad. Like you said, at tournaments, they didn't know you was letting it out.
That's right.
But you let it out in a constructive way,
Thank
and
God.
you got trophies, you got respect, because if you would have let it out on them streets, you probably would have been locked up. So with these young men that we work with in the juvenile justice system, they come in, you know, packed with trauma, packed with these aggressive attitudes. First thing I do, let's go to the gym.
Yeah.
Let's let it out.
Get it out. Get it out. Yeah.
Work it
They
out.
already have an apprehension to mentoring, you know, so I got to come down to their level. Let's go let it out. Now, again, they're a little averse to the discipline of the martial arts because they already have aversion to authority. So I'm not coming in with skate, hachidach. So I had to kind of morph it into boxing. I get some boxing gloves, I get my pads, and we start, you know, getting it in. And just for them to let it out. I mean, you can feel it because they don't have technique, but they hit them pads hard. And as you guys know, if you're mentoring, you'd be surprised what a young brother or a young lady will let out after they done sweat. Now, I can know you for the first day. You come to my gym, you let out, you sweating. Now we could talk about, so, hold on, man, what made you put that gun to that dude's head? Like, for real? Was you really? And he's going to open up. As opposed to me coming to juvenile and saying, man, why'd you put that gun to his head? Man, get out of my face. But there has to be some kind of common ground. That common ground for me, because I'm still trying, is that physicality. And I watch them let it out. And you see, I mean, some of them, and we've had situations where we introduce them to the arts and they just start crying because they've never had a chance to really let it out. So that's when we can get in and start unpacking that trauma. And to Brother Sledge's point, that's when we can get in and start working with their mind and really trying to create that paradigm shift in their head about their futures, them valuing their lives, the value of education. And we got 3 areas. We got home, school, and the community. Because again, these young men, man, we go with them to court, and then we go with them to their probation meetings. And our #1 goal for the young people that are in our program is to help them navigate through the juvenile justice system. It's our #1 goal. And I hope along that route of us helping them get off probation, be successfully released from probation, that we can develop some kind of relationship with them. So even when they're off of probation, they still want to stay with the program.
That's beautiful.
So like you said, there's different approaches. We're all trying to get, you know, I think to the same, and
we're all gonna get there together. And that's the beautiful thing. And that was part of Malika and I doing this whole these segments on mentoring the youth, because we're tired of the negativity that comes with people of color. Our brown people are not so much what some people call us animals and savages. I understand that some of us can get caught emotionally wrapped up into the streets, and we did it because let me tell you something. There was a left door and a right door for me. You understand what I'm saying? There was before I came to police officer, people when they saw me walk into the, you know, and it was so funny. You know, I'm from the big drug era, and when people saw me going to the police academy, and they were like, the police academy said, "Oh well, if you're in a rough neighborhood, you don't have to wear your uniform." I said, "Let me feel for this." You know what I'm saying? If you respect me in my street game, you're gonna respect this police game too. That's right. What my hand was, and I was already studying with Jug. Shout out to Jug, of course, because I always told him when I did Donnie Brasco stuff, the undercover stuff, it was his tutelage that always kept me off them, kept them guys from not cutting me with them razors or getting jumped in those alleys and those buildings. You know, the martial arts was a way that I stayed with, you know, and just evolved. And even out of respect, I was like, yo, you mind if I go into the Shabazz? He was like, yo, go. He says, how can I tell you to keep reading one book? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then him and I, as brothers, because we grew up together, we started embarking on martial arts together with under other teachers. Well, speaking of other teachers, I know I want to shout out to my sister, our sister, Kathy Sledge. We are family. She's in the building. That is our sister. That's my Capricorn sister. Kathy, we right next door waiting for you to come see it. Shout out to champion Jerry Fontanez.
Wow.
Just in the courses in the building juggernaut. He says Kareem Hines was a national level martial artist, as we know that. Oh, you want to read what Terrence Lane said? Go ahead.
Oh, I didn't get to Terrence yet, but I just want to read from Elder Joseph Vincent. He said he's watching and he loves the historical perspective of mentoring in the community. And he has a question. He says, do the presenters already have a list of Black psychologists where we can refer young people in the New York City?
We can always use more, and I emphasize that. Again, it's knowing the enemy, it's knowing the nature of the disease, it's knowing where that trauma is coming from. we run a totally volunteer-based program. It's a free program. Nobody gets paid. My wife, no one. But we also know you need outside help with a lot of these issues. We're blessed to be healers and be around healers. I'm blessed to have the martial arts community support me, like your instructor, Juggernaut, Hashibolo Holloway, Leander Hardaway, and numerous others that sit in our circle on a consistent basis on a Wednesday night to help us. But the more outside help and the more linkage and connection and collaboration that we do will only make us stronger. And I don't have to emphasize, how powerful the fist is when we're tight and we're together. So I'm more than open, and you guys are more than willing to pass the number on. I mean, we're on every social media platform. My phone never stops ringing. It's ringing now as I'm talking. My email address. We both respond to it, and I want to connect with my brother because you hit home. Sledge Group got started with court-appointed children. Okay, we're known in the Supreme Court in the Bronx, and we're well known in the Supreme Court in Manhattan. And our kids were up for criminal charges at 14. I'm talking Latin Kings looking at 25 to life, and they were in our program. And just like you, we were able to do 18 months with Sledge Group. Okay, and now they're productive members. We deal with the children nobody else want to deal with, and that's been our history for 20 years. And we don't label our children ADT, super educate. No.
Yeah,
None of that. Ain't no labels. You're a king and you're a queen, sis.
That's it.
You're a king and you're a queen. Now let us teach you how to rule this world, your community, your household. Education, tutoring, parent support group, and mentoring. We do one-on-one mentoring. We do group mentoring. And I'm like my man said, he got a three-prong approach. We got a three-prong approach. You have to go to tutoring. Parent support group is required because you're going back into that household, healthy or unhealthy. And then mentoring, one-on-one, and on Wednesday nights in a group mentoring perspective. And we've been successful with it. We've been very successful with it. Thank God.
Malika has
Brother Foster.
Yes, sure.
Can I speak to the guy that just inquired about the black psychologist?
Yeah, because I was going to come to you for that. That's exactly. So please go ahead.
Yeah, what's crazy, I guess it's not crazy, but it's a fact. There's such a lack of black psychologists and black therapists, in social services. And we get a lot of young men and young ladies for that matter, especially these young people in the juvenile justice system. They're called $1 million babies because they're worth so much money. Once they get in the system, these kids are worth so much money. So the system will wrap these young people with a treatment team, and they'll put a therapist in place. They'll put a mentor in place. They'll put an educational person in place. They want to diagnose these kids with all these ailments. And then you get our young black boys, because of the lack of psychologists, black psychologists and black therapists, they're going to give them a white therapist. That's right. In most cases, not a male white therapist, a female therapist. So there's no connectivity. You can't connect to the trauma. You can't have, and shout outs to, all the therapists. I'm not diminishing their education level, but there's something about being able to connect with a young black and brown boy where you have to put in front of them somebody that has gone through what they're going through, or at least can relate to it in order for them to open up. So when you put these therapists in place with these young black men, and they don't relate to these therapists, that therapist has one of the most powerful voices in the system. Absolutely. So when they go to court and make a recommendation, if there's a lack of compliance on that young black man's part, now he gets hit. He gets hit with the label of being non-compliant. So now you're just digging him even further into the system. And because there's such a lack of, black male therapists, black male psychologists, they're not out there. So you leave that young man with this white psychologist or this white therapist who they can't connect to, and he becomes non-compliant. And that's such a setup. That's such a setup within the system. And we see it every day. So you become, as I know Brother Sledge and his wife do, you're the mentor, you're the therapist, you're the tutor, because now that young man, that young lady, they trust you. Right. They trust you in some cases more than their parents.
Right.
So you might not have that PhD or that master's level, education, but you got that connectivity to that young person, you have that relationship. And I don't care how many master's degrees or PhDs you got, my relationship with that young man or young lady is much more powerful than any degree or anything that we read out of a book.
Absolutely.
I think it's
Absolutely.
awesome. I think it's awesome what everybody is saying. I know Malika has something to read real quick, and then I'm going to go and say something else.
Yeah, I just want to tell you there's a ton of love coming in for both of your programs. I just want to read a little bit from Terrence Lane. He said, Brother Mychal Sledge and his wife, the Sledge Group, has and continues to make a difference in the lives of our young brothers and sisters, especially those who are most at risk. All praise is due to Allah for this couple and the work that they do. And Brother Andre Richardson said, Kareem Hines is a national level martial artist.
yeah. Jerry Fontanez is showing the love.
Yes.
Mashira Rodriguez just chimed in. What's up? We were law enforcement together. She studied under Derek Thomas, I think it is. Wilfox, yes. Respect to her. Jerry Fontanez says, thank you for doing this leadership. This is awesome. You know, something we were all talking about, we were talking about mentoring. And I commend you because it's so hard, me coming, because most of the time when I'm speaking, I get introduced from the detective. Usually that's how I'm segued into this, but I have to almost start behind the 8 ball and then, you know, to get ahead to get them to trust me and converse with me. The one thing that you said, Kareem, was so important about, you know, having another face in front of us, you know, and no disrespect to the white people that love us and try to work with us, but the bottom line is sometimes they need to understand the skin right here is what's going to really save you and not label you. You understand? Mm-hmm. We're going to go that extra yard and not put an acronym behind, like you said, Mike, put an acronym behind your name. So what that thing is also too, from a psychological standpoint, what Joe was saying, not therapist is going to be good for everybody. You know what I'm saying? Not every school is good for every person that wants to study martial arts. So Kareem, tell me about when you become that psychiatrist, that big brother for the youth, and then the Sledge, you can tell us how it makes you feel, because I know I feel good if I get a call and when I see somebody and they'll say sensei or they'll say detective or they'll say OG, and they see me in the street and they remember something that we were talking about or kicking it, and they say, oh, I'm doing good, I'm studying, or I'm not in trouble. I mean, let me know how that, please tell me, Kareem, elaborate, and then the Sledge family, tell me how that makes you feel, and what do you feel from that?
It's a great feeling. I heard Brother Sledge and his wife talk about the group mentoring program, the group philosophy. We're a group-based mentoring program here in Indianapolis. We have one-on-one mentoring, but we're definitely group-based. And sometimes when you have a group of 15 to 20 young men on a Wednesday evening, our goal is to just reach one. If we can reach one, you know, we're good. You know, we know the statistics, you know, are on the side of, you know, most of them, or it's really unbalanced in regards to, you know, a lot of them maybe ending up in the system, or maybe a lot of them ending up being productive citizens, but we're just trying to reach one. And if you can reach that one, that hears you, and not only hears you, but takes the lessons that you're trying to teach them and then applies it to their own lives. Because we find that out a lot, where a lot of the young men we work with will respect our mentoring program. They're vibing with us within the mentoring program. But then we, like you said earlier, they go back home to that same dysfunctional environment. And they morph, you know, because they have to survive, you know, especially when you're talking about inner city, you know, young people, which is a beautiful thing when you can incorporate the family into it. You can't mentor young people and then not try to incorporate the family into it. So I think a lot of successful mentoring programs have a family component also, where they bring the family in, whether it be through special events, ceremonies, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, but you have to incorporate the family. But when you have a young person that actually gets it and comes back to you and shows you that appreciation, it makes it all worthwhile. And we operate under this 5 stages of change, you know, with our kids. It's this 5 stages of change model. And when our kids come in, they're in that pre-contemplation phase, which is the first stage of change. It's pre-contemplation. They don't need a mentor. They don't want a mentor. We're taking them away from what they normally doing in these streets. You can't do nothing for me. My dad ain't in my life. So what you going to do to tell me, you know, what are you going to incorporate or instill in me that my own daddy didn't do? And then the next stage of change is contemplation. And that's really all we want to do. We're never going to get them to that 5th stage, I don't think, within our program. Now, you might find them, as Brother Sledge said, 10 or 15 years down the road, and they see you and say, hey, I'm doing well. I'm not locked up. I got a job. Thank you. I remember the impact you had on my life. And now they're in that 5th stage of maintenance. But if we can just get them from stage 1, pre-contemplation, to contemplation while they're in our program, that just means you're going to think now before you make that decision.
That's right.
That's all I'm asking. I'm going to keep it all the way 100 with you. You do what you do. But please think about the consequences.
That's right.
Then make that informed decision. And that's what we didn't do as young people. You know, even young people today, I tell them, I feel you. You don't want to think about it. You know, you just want to do it. You know, ain't no fun in thinking like you just want to do it. But now that I'm touching you and you're in this group setting or you're in this one-on-one setting, I'm going to force you to think about it. You know, and then sometimes if we can get them from pre-contemplation just to contemplation, we know they'll go the other route with that support system in place. It's one thing to tell them to think about it and then not have that support system where somebody you can call or talk to, or they know I'm going to Brother Sledge's program on Wednesday and I can really kind of let it out. So the short answer to your question is it's a beautiful thing when you see that twinkle in their eye and they actually get it. You know, and all you need is one. All you need is one.
Well, that's real talk, and there's no short answer with real talk, brother. So please elaborate it as much as you want and as long as you want. Sweetheart, where are we at now? We're doing Real Talk Chronicles, right?
Yes, we are.
This is Real Talk Chronicles. If you like it, share it. Let me tell you something. Like I tell every time, Malika and I always say positivity is the hardest thing to sell. And some people don't bother. I'm one of the top event planners in the city for years, from the 90s to the like early 2000s. And I could just throw a party and put it together. God has given me a talent to do something like that. But with Real Talk Chronicles, and I knew I needed therapy after the passing of my mother. And that's Real Talk Chronicles started because I was lost. I had lost both my parents when I was working. And the worst thing to be is a volatile man with a firearm. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes. Yes.
We already see what's happening out there in the world today. And this is the thing, too, about change. I know, how, and I've always been good at just de-escalating something, right? But at that time, I was there, and then, like I said, I joined the church, tried to get reborn again, and then I started doing a lot of mentoring program, but I was going out there speaking, and Real Talk helped me, and a collective group of friends got together, and we just started conversing about our upbringing, and that was just so relieving. And the thing is, and you know, due to injuries and operations, and then like I said, Malika and I, we teamed up, and she loved me, and it became my partner in life. And then, you know, we just started, we said, we're going to pick it up and we're going to push the metal, you know, the pedal to the metal on it.
Yeah, just something I was thinking about, and actually read an update on this story not too long before we went on air. There was, I think it was sometime Saturday in Philly, a 7-year-old boy was caught in the crossfire. And when I tell you I'm heartbroken, I mean, I think all of us who originally heard the story, we've just been praying over time that this little boy survived. But, you know, he was on the porch playing with his toys, and all of a sudden there was a fight on the block, and he got caught up in it. And just maybe like a half an hour before we went live, I read an update that he passed away. He didn't survive his injuries. Wow. So, you know, I'm definitely here and thinking, but, you know, programs like this, conversations like this need to be had all over the place. Because, you know, I was thinking about something you said, Mychal, about getting to them. You know, they have a choice. They have to think about what the consequences of their actions, and, you know, these people, you know, who had this gunfight here in Philly the other day, why didn't they just, even if they fought, you know, it had a fist fight, that would have been a whole lot better, and this kid would be here today. So I appreciate the work that each of you are doing, and it's definitely needed, and I wish we could multiply it 1,000 times over, because there's so many young men and women out here who need to hear this.
Yeah, it's, you know, it's so funny. Shout out to Jotty Tension. He's in the building, champion. Jotty Tension is watching. Martial arts, a lot of love for all of us.
You got some heavy hitters in the comments, man.
Yeah,
some
man. That's a beautiful
man.
thing. Yeah, this is some love, you know, and I think this is one thing that we need to do. And this is why I was so honored when you guys accepted the invitation to come to Real Talk, you know, Chronicles, because as a martial arts family, a lot of times it's about competition. At this age in our lives, there's no competition. I mean, there could be competition in certain things, but listen, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? If I'm still on out there trying to show you I'm the better than you, then I got a problem. You know what I'm saying? Then that's something I didn't achieve back in 1982 or 83 at a tournament, and that's my fault. You know what I'm saying? But right now, collectively, we can come together and do this and save black and brown kids. I mean, white kids too. It don't make a damn. Let's just save children.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And this segues me to my question with you, the Sledge family. How do we try to catch them before they get incarcerated or get into the court system? What are your suggestions on that?
I can only give you our experience, and
Sure, please.
I'm not a statistic person. I really don't like statistics, right? I'm like my brother. If we can save one, we've done a lot. And we had a 13 to 18 by the state of New York requirement in terms of the age group. But we dropped the age to 10, 11, 12. I want to say in the last 3 or 4 years, because the gangs in Harlem were doing recruitment at an earlier age, and a lot of it stems from the household in terms of the parent, functional or dysfunctional. But to reach those children early is what I'm passionate about. When you embed integrity in some form of spirituality, not dogma, but some form of spirituality. Our children don't know we were kings before we were slaves.
Absolutely.
Our children don't know that. And truth be told, their parents don't know that. Okay? We put in front of them on a consistent basis grown men and grown women who have made mistakes and ended up incarcerated on the other side. And they come and sit in our circle for both the young ladies and the young men and share their story of how they messed up and how they did 10, 20, 25 years in jail. That's powerful. That's very powerful. We had a young lady who was prostituting in Queens, and I knew her family. And the martial arts come into play. We got her off the streets. We got her into the program. Now she has a bachelor's, a master's degree. Her whole life has changed. And I can't let go of the trauma she experienced prostituting at 13, 14 years old.
Even before that.
Well, yeah. Because it starts with sexual abuse at home. It starts with that. And then it goes to the street. And then it becomes about $1. It's the same thing with the drug game. It's the same thing with the gun violence. It starts somewhere. We're consistent. I mean, I talk about the one-on-one mentoring and the group mentoring a lot, but the mentors that we've had have been so committed. As long as we've been up, they've been mentoring the same young person for a long period of time. And like my brother shared, once you gain that trust and that respect, it's more important than what their mother or father is saying, because they know you got their back no matter what. They know you're not going to do nothing but guide them. And my man Mr. Hines was right on point with the consequential thinking, man. A lot of us don't realize the power of the mind.
Yes, sir.
In making the right decision or the wrong decision. We get caught up in I know. And no, you don't know at 12 years old. No, you know at 13 years old. No, be quite honest, you still don't know at 25. So it's a lot of work that goes in it. It really is a lot of work that goes in it in terms of reaching them. And you have to be consistent. And I don't think we're consistent in our community. I'm going to say that again, loud and clear. I don't think we're consistent in our community.
Absolutely.
We say we're going to do something and we don't. We don't follow.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Mike. I apologize. I didn't mean to cut you off. Oh, Kareem, I'm gonna let you piggyback off that. Let me just say something. Mashira, I apologize if I didn't say Dwayne Thomas. Dwayne is my brother too. In the martial arts, your instructor. It wasn't done malicious, but I understand that you want to make sure that I say his name correctly. So Dwayne Thomas, shout out. Show some martial arts love. Trying to stay focused on this topic right here, though, sister.
Right.
So, Kareem, yeah, if you want to just piggyback off what the Sledge family was talking about, go ahead, brother.
Yeah, definitely. What strikes me as odd is when we had the Hall of Fame ceremony in Harlem.
Yes.
And it kind of reconnected me back, you know, to a lot of the brothers in the arts and a lot of people who raised me. It's not a man that you mentioned that didn't have some kind of stock in my development, from Jerry to Jug, Derek Williams, Dave Thomas, Harlem Goes You, all those brothers, man, not just Kashinda. Kashinda was my main, you know, mentor in regards to the martial arts, but all those brothers had a piece of me, man. I took a piece of everybody, and I took it with me when I came to Indianapolis. But what was shocking to me was they used to have, when Lamar was doing the tournaments at the school, 175, they used to allow fighting. And I was shocked, and when we came up there, I was talking to my dad. He was like, yeah, they're not doing the fighting no more. The schools won't let them do the fighting. And because, it's, like you said, there was too much competition or violence. I was like, what? You know, to Brother Sledge's point, karate is 80% mental. Only 20% of it is physical. It's 80% mental. As far as you talk about the spirit, the mind, and the body. And I was shocked that they didn't allow the fighting to be incorporated into the school system. And then when I started talking, I was talking to Jesse Ray the other day, and I thought, and I really think that the gang violence and then talking about reaching the kids at an early age, there should be a martial arts program in every school in New York City. Hands down. Hands down, especially the elementary schools. There should be a martial arts program in every school. And I was talking to Kashinda about that about 6 months ago. I want to help with that. I don't know what we can do, but one thing that Brother Sledge was talking about is consistency. Because I think we can do it. We need to come back to the table. And this is a moment. We're in a moment right now with the Black Lives Matter movement and talking about equality and things like that. But martial arts will save these young men's lives, and it will also give them an outlet. Because as you know, working with these kids, if they don't have an outlet for that aggression, we see what they'll do with it. And the streets are waiting for them. Whether they get them knives or them pistols, the streets are waiting for them to give them an outlet. But if we can incorporate martial arts back into the school system, and again, it has nothing to do with violence. We don't teach violence at all. You don't go into any martial arts class and they just start teaching you how to kick and punch. Before you walk in the door, it's about respect. Before you walk in the door, put your hands at your side, it's about respect. And you can spend spend 45 minutes with that young brother before you come into the door and teach him why you respect the dojo. Teach him about that belt, that gi, which means nothing. It's about respect. So I think if we, and to Brother Sledge's point, but we got to be consistent and we got to come hard. We got to let these schools know. We got to get back to the tables. We got to get back in these course systems, because there is, and I know you guys don't do it for the money, but there is money in this. There is. These schools have to open up their budgets if they want, because you know what? They're going to spend more money incarcerating these young Black brothers than they would prior to them going into the system. They will spend more money with them being in jail. And as we know, the prison system is a multi-billion-dollar. It's being traded on the stock market. Look it up. The Corrections Corporation of America, Core Civic. Prisons have become privatized. What we're doing is grassroots. So they'll hide that money from us, and they will make it a competition, especially between the Black mentoring organizations. So they got us out this one little pot. So we're fighting up this little pot of grant money and this little pot of money. So in some cases, like the brothers say, you know what? I don't need your money. I'm gonna do it for free. But there is funding out there. And karate, it's been embedded in me since I was 6 years old. That's my way into the schools. That's my way into the schools. As my counterparts out here in Indianapolis, shout out to all the mentoring programs out here. But not one of them teach martial arts. And I thank my dad and Kashinda every week for putting it in me, because I now have an expertise. And the kids love it. So I come in with my equipment, and they like, oh my God, I walk through the halls. Oh, he got Heggett. And they're following me, which they have no clue. It's going to be 2 or 3 weeks before we even touch that equipment. But I use it, to appeal to the young people. But I was so surprised, man, that we don't have martial arts men in every school, especially talking about the Jerry Fontenez and the Jesse Rays and the Johnny Tensions. These national level martial artists who, if they came to the table and we can talk about how to deter youth violence, and we can talk about a proposal to get martial arts into the schools, it would be so appealing to some of these people who are not doing the grassroots work. They just don't know about it.
Listen, he got me pumped. He really has me pumped.
You came off the couch.
No, listen.
You came off the couch. Look up, you came off the couch.
You saw him rise up, right, Kareem?
Listen, man. I'm about to come through the screen. I'm about to come through the screen, right? And I'm going to share my experience of being on this earth for over 6 decades. You hear me? The school system, the Board of Ed, is not designed to help us. It is not designed. We were in that same school with Sledge Group at 175, and they were charging us rent to run a free program. You have some charter schools, 2 that I know, that have implemented the martial arts in the 5 boroughs. But the school system is not designed to educate us. I'm going to say that loud and clear.
Yes, sir.
It is not designed. The amount of national, international champions, instructors that are still alive, if we all sat down at the table with the mayor, with the Board of Ed superintendent, we will walk away with a no. Please hear me on this. This and that's part of the trick bag. You're talking about the correction system and the penitentiary system. This is nationwide, man. I get paid to speak nationally on the Black Male Initiative and how it's criminal what they're doing to us to keep the foot on the neck and make sure we don't excel.
Yes, sir.
Again, I retired as a federal executive. It wasn't easy every day sitting at a round table and I'm the only one in there with a tan from Puerto Rico to Maine. But don't believe, and I tell every parent this and every child that comes in my grace. This school system, you're still talking about Christopher Columbus discovered America. We ain't talking about our Latino history, our African history. We're still doing social promotions. The school system is a gateway to the New York State correction facilities. They talking about Comstock is a training ground, a gladiator school. No, the public school, the junior high school, the high school. Bill, it ain't the same time that me and you went to school together now. They're going through metal detectors, man. Suspension means you're likely to do time. They're suspending kindergarten kids, first grade kids for behavior. They're not looking for no solution. And I gotta say this, man, as a martial artist, I could have opened up chains of karate schools, chains of them, man. I'm ranked #1 in the New York area as the top fighter. I'm ranked top 20 in the country.
Yeah.
It ain't about the money. It's about saving lives. Kareem, just like your life was saved, my life was saved because of some strong instructors and some people that guided us. If the community doesn't step up, and Bill, Malika, you got to hear me. I get tired of talking. I'm not a talker. I'm a doer. If every one of these people that's on that name joined you, Kareem, or joined me, and we taught them how to open up their own mentoring program, it would be better than being taught by the Board of Ed. After school programs are gone.
Yeah.
Before school programs are gone. Saturday, Sunday school programs are gone. See, that's the trick bag. I don't rely on nobody funding me. As long as Almighty God can put $1 in my pocket, Sledge Group doors will be open.
Yes, sir.
We did that Christmas drive last year, Bill. I mean, last December.
Yeah.
267 brand new coats was donated to people in the shelter in December.
Yeah.
That's huge.
That's powerful.
We cannot rely on any education system in this country to assist us when it comes to educating our children.
Beautiful. That's very powerful. Kareem, let me ask you a question. Mike, I segue me to my question with Kareem. What can people do to help you and where you are, New York City, because you got a fan base around the world, and as long as I'm alive and Malika's alive and the Sledge family, because I believe bringing good people together collectively, we can do it. Like you just said, Mike, that listen, all the names, the powerful names, Jerry Fontanez is hooting and hollering in this, and he is revved up, he's ready to go. Jug is always on it. Your father just chimed in. Kenny's in the building. What can we do to help you, Kareem? What do people can do out there, do here? Because like I said, it's going to be YouTube, so you'll be able to share it out there. What assistance do you need right now?
Honestly, right now, man, we're blessed. Money, you know, is not an issue right now. We're blessed. I just want everybody to hear me on this call and maybe incorporate that each one teach one mentality. They talk about in the Black Lives Matter movement, silence is being complicit. You know,
Exactly.
we gotta wake up.
Yes.
You know, right now, it'll help me, you know, to come back to New York and talk to Kashinda, and he tells me that he's now in 5 elementary schools teaching martial arts. That would help my spirit. I need an enhancement of my spirit when it comes to that. 'Cause I'm so far away from New York City. I hear, you know, what's going on in it through my dad. I hear what's going on through Kashinda. My dream would be to have a mentoring program in New York City. So I commend you guys, and you guys are right in the heart of Harlem, 125th Street. But you know, the sad part about that is I've never heard of you. I would love to come to New York. And we bring busloads of kids to New York. Busloads. We get funding to bring kids, because again, exposure. Awesome. Getting kids out of their environment, their regular, the same conversation I can have with a kid right here in Indianapolis will be totally different when we're on the way to New York City. Even if we stop at a rest stop, because he's now not his normal environment, so he's not comfortable, and I start planting those seeds. So I would love to have known about you guys, and I promise the next time we come to New York, we're coming. I want to make it a big deal. That's how you can help me. I want to bring me and my wife with a 54-passenger charter bus. We're bringing 45 kids up there and 13 mentors, and we want to make it a weekend. We want to come. We want to fellowship with you. We want to introduce those kids, and we want to put that on Facebook or social media, because we see so many things to put on about negativity and the lack of collaboration, especially with Black people. You know, we kind of work in our silos. So that's what helped me. As soon as we're done with this COVID thing, I guarantee you, hopefully we can stay connected, because when we come up there, I'm going to stop at 135th, because I got to pay homage to Kashinda. We coming 10 blocks straight up Adam Clayton Powell. So we could kill 2 birds with 1 stone. We're going to shop on 125th, because we do all that shopping, they go crazy right there. So why not take a moment to come and fellowship with you guys? But I mean, each one teach one. We got to stop being so complicit. And I don't know what I sat down with Kashinda. I sat down with a guy who's a therapist in his dojo, and he said that he had a young man who was on probation that came to his dojo, and that young man got successfully released from probation. I said, well, and he said, well, yeah, they only gave me a certain amount of money. I said, Did you go to that young man's probation appointments? I didn't go to his probation meetings. Did you go with him to court? I didn't go to court. No. You need to be at every court hearing he had, every probation meeting, to talk about the effectiveness that martial arts, or the impact that martial arts had on that young man's life, to wake these judges up. Because I'm telling you, with the impact, with the history that Brother Sledge and his wife had, if we had a seat at the table and talk to the right people, I know there's a way in. There's a way in. Now we got it, and I know also from out here in Indianapolis, we got a lot of, shout out to all the mentoring programs in Indianapolis. We do have a lot of militant people. Okay. And because it's this thing is structural, if you come too hard with them, they're not letting us in the door.
No.
They're not letting us in the door.
Yeah.
So there's a way. You know,
you gotta smile. You gotta smile.
Yeah. And then when we get them young people in that group setting on Wednesday, as your conversations go, then we hit them with that real talk.
Yeah.
But it got to be a way that we got to get in there, to infiltrate it. So again, man, just having us on this platform, you guys have helped me learn a little bit more about my history. Now that I know about you guys' program, I want to look it up, and me and my wife will start strategizing. I promise we'll be up there. There will not be a year that passes when COVID-19 passes that we will not come see you guys, fellowship, and I would love to do the planning beforehand so we can make it a weekend.
Yes.
We're going to make sure that before when we log off, we're going to make sure that we stay on it. We're going to exchange numbers. Even Sponsor that put his number in the group. Jerry Fontes is on board. Robin, I see you. I'm going to channel you to somebody else so you can get some better tutelage for your son in the martial arts. I just want to tell a story about, and I have to give a shout out to Jeffrey Canada for having martial arts in his school, because he gave me the opportunity to teach in the school, and that's where Jug is now. And talking about just having a kid that was zealous and was good with his knuckle game, right? I didn't know he was good with his knuckle game because he just wasn't listening. And I was like, dude, listen. I took him to the old school. I said, all right, you're not listening. Everybody in class is going to fight you because you're going to learn to be quiet, right? So I put him up against every student in that class, and he was laying it out. You would have been happy. Look up. He was putting him on his body. The ring, he was pow, pow. Saying everything. I felt like Han. I was like, right? And he was laying them all out. So after he beat them all, you know what I said? I said, all right, you're going to be Sensei's #1 man. You know what I'm saying? So now we started giving orders in class because you got to find a way to bring them back some way, somehow to keep them. After he showed me that his knuckle game was good, now let me see your leadership game. So I had him doing that. Let me go to the Sledge family. What would you like to do? What would you want people to do for you? You know, because I know we can talk about this martial arts, because I got something to talk about that later on, but what does the Sledge family, what do you want people out here in the listening audience to do to help the Sledge family do? Go ahead.
So first of all, I was sitting here and I was listening to Kareem, and I was already visualizing the two groups connecting, the collaboration and coming together, and just seeing the whole weekend. So I'm looking forward to that, Kareem. Our motto has always been, if we can touch one, then we've made a difference. A lot of children come into our group by word of mouth. If we're not helping someone, then we're not completing our mission. So how you can help us continue to spread the word. Continue to spread the word that there's a safe haven for young girls, that there's a last house on the block for young boys, that we're here. And we've been consistently here for 20 years and we're not going anywhere. I love the fact that young people can go away to college and come back and we're still there. And they can come back, and the crazy part is like when they start sounding like me, right? And so like I no longer have to do the speaking, I no longer have to facilitate. I can sit back and watch them and they sound like me. And it's like you never know when they're getting it. You never know what somebody hears. You never know what's going to be that last word that actually does something for them and save their life. And so what can you do for us? Continue to spread the word.
Oh, and we definitely going to do that. Word. Mike, you want to?
I want to do a retreat again, Kareem. We were successful taking a bunch of young men, Bloods, Crips, Kings, and Yatas, out to Pennsylvania in the mountains. And it was powerful for 3 or 4 days when we did this. It was very powerful. And I'd like to collaborate with you. Donation, sledgegroup.org, Zelle, Cash App. We pour 100% of our money back into our programming, 100% back, you know. But the collaboration, a lot of our children don't get off the block. They don't get off the block. So to leave Indianapolis and come to New York is powerful, but I need to take some kids down to you too. Mm-hmm. So they can
come down.
Listen.
We live. We'll host you. You get down here, we'll take care of you. Let me introduce you guys to my wife. This is my wife,
hey,
Crystal Hines.
Hey, sister.
I asked her to come up here because Mr. and Mrs. Sledge, you guys are who we aspire to be. If we can be sitting like you guys are sitting 20 years from now, and people talk about us and revere us like people revere you and hold you guys up, that's what we want to do. And we started this. We didn't start mentoring as a business at all. We started because we was passionate about youth. We were doing it for free. And then the juvenile justice system out here said, hey, if, you guys are doing this, we would love the contract with you. I ain't turning no money down, so I'll tell you that right now.
My man.
Exactly. Which makes it even better. When you do it with a passion, it makes it even better, and God will bless you in abundance. So I want to bring my wife up here. She has her inner beauty mentoring program, and she works with young ladies within the Department of Child Services and the juvenile justice system. But kudos to you, man. I promise you, my heart is warm because I know God put this together for a reason. Because this is our first time, and my wife can sit there and tell you, we have never met a couple that is so entrenched in the mentoring game like you guys are. And I try to tell her all the time where I'm from. So it's a pleasure to be able to say you guys are from New York City, Harlem, 25th Street, doing it like you're doing. Thank you. Thank you.
Let me ask your wife a question, if you don't mind. How are you, sister? I'm Bill, and this is Malika. This is my wife.
Nice to meet you.
Real Talk Chronicles. So thank you for thank you for allowing him to have some time to converse with us. So how are you enjoying this mentoring world that you're embarked on, talking to the young sisters, giving them a role model? How do you feel about that?
I honestly, I'm overjoyed to be able to do this work because we were just having this conversation yesterday. You have to be called to do this. So it's not something where you just say, oh my God, today when I wake up, I just want to go run out and help all the underprivileged people. No, God has really put a calling on your life and said, this is your charge. You have to do this. And nothing felt comfortable. I was a teacher for 8.5 years. I thought that was going to be my life, going into the classroom, and then I was going to move up from the classroom to be a principal, and then from a principal to a superintendent. And I just had it all, my life was all planned out, mapped out, everything. But God said, no, I got something else for you. You're still going to teach, but you can't teach in the classroom because my vision is much bigger than the classroom. You have to reach the masses, and you can't do that teaching 31 kids a day. Or when I was teaching middle school, I might have impacted maybe 70 kids a day when they rotated classes. He said, no, ma'am, you've got something much bigger than that. And so I take delight in following God's will and doing what he's telling me to do, and being able to sit and listen and get all the visions that he has to put even more services and more, ideas into play for the kids that we're working with. So it's a blessing. It's more than enjoyment. I tell you that. It is excitement, and it's a blessing every single day to wake up and know that I'm enjoying what God has called me to do.
Amen.
Give thanks,
Awesome.
sis. Give thanks.
And Kareem, you're blessed, man. You're blessed,
Yes.
brother.
Let me
You're
tell you
blessed.
something. This is a beautiful world to see. And let me tell you something. Relationships are powerful. You see 3 couples out here doing the damn thing together, collectively trying to come together just to save our children. This is what it's all about, right, sweetie?
Absolutely.
Mentoring, like you said, sister, it's a calling. I learned from you two. I learned from the Sledge. I learned from my wife. The bottom line is, no matter what hand I can touch, to get a call in the middle of the night, somebody asking you, oh, I'm having a problem about my son, what do you think? He'll talk to you. He won't talk to me. Or can you talk to him for me? I think it's a big honor. And Malika will see me and she'll be like, she'll give me that nod. And I'm like, okay. It takes away, but they understand. So, to be entrenched in this,
Yes.
is part of this survival game, because a lot of people want to, like you said, Mike, earlier, people throwing acronyms behind and initials behind our names. I don't do that. Listen, I had all those acronyms and initials, but my father put it behind. You know what I'm saying? That's what happened. You know what I'm saying? I went to a dojo. It was what it was. So I commend you all. I bow. I salute you. I want you all to, right now, it's about that time almost, and then have some party words later. But so I want the Hines first to give us some parting words of encouragement and wisdom, how people can reach you, how they can support you again. You can both do that. I let both of them tell people where you're located, where you are right now. So anybody out there, because like I said, it's YouTube, so you will be able to share it. People will see this later and later and later. I hope this is something that you can share and inspire people to do anything that you want to. So the Hines will go first, and then the Sledges will go first, and then Malika will finish, and then I will follow after that. So please, the Hines, tell people everything you want them to tell them.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm Crystal Hines, and our agency is the Inner Beauty program for young ladies ages 6 to 18. And we also have an aftercare program that goes all the way up to age 30 for girls who were in the program when they were younger. I can be reached at 317-833-5810. Our website together is ibmbmentor.org. And we have an app for mine is just Inner Beauty, or IBMB Mentor is our combined app.
Say it again for me, one more time for me.
Actually, if you wouldn't mind just hopping on and putting it in the comments. Are you on Facebook?
No.
Oh, you're not on Facebook.
No,
I have to put it in the comments.
Matter of fact, all right, yes.
I can do it.
She's gonna put it in the comments for you. So say it again for her so she can go
it's
slow.
Inner Beauty.
Inner Beauty.
So, Inner Beauty Program, Inc. And we have a combined website, which is ibnbmentor.org.
So that's IB
as in Inner Beauty, and NB New Boy. So ibnbmentor.org. And my personal phone number is 317-833-58.
317.
Sorry, I don't type that fast.
I'm sorry.
It's all
My
right.
laptop will fly, but so 317.
833
Okay,
5810.
got it.
Awesome.
Okay, thank you.
Kareem?
Thank you.
Oh, no.
I don't do the social media thing, unfortunately.
Oh, okay.
That's not worry about. No, because listen, it's not about social media for this. This is about how do you want people to reach you.
Oh, no doubt. They can reach me via email. I'll give you my direct email address. It's Kareem, K-A-R.
Hold on.
Oh, with them. KAR.
Kareem, Kareem, .Hines @att.net. I have no problem with you reaching me via phone. My number is 317-869-5022.
Got it. Okay.
And my parting words for anybody who's listening is, like Brother Sledge said, our kids do have the potential to be great, but they don't need help. They need support. And in this culture of young people we're working with, I really don't believe in that old adage where you have to meet me halfway. You know, you got to go down and get them. You know, we got to be willing to go boost to the ground, go down and get them, and then we pull them up. And there's so much negativity being posted online and being shared and reposted about our young Black men. If you're on this call, post something positive. Post something positive about these programs, what's going on in Harlem. Post something positive about the effects of martial arts. Post something positive. Take a fast from posting internet or sharing self-destructive tweets about our young Black men, because they do have the opportunity to be great. And like Brother Sledge said, we come from kings. You know, so our history has been taken from us. And if the young people know where they come from, and it can be consistently ingrained in them where you come from, maybe they hold their heads a little bit higher. Maybe they hold their heads a little bit higher and allow themselves to be taught. So please, each one teach one. I'm looking forward to the collaboration. Black people, everybody, let's collaborate. Let's get together. Cause you put out there, I think Brother Foster takes this. We do nothing like this. It takes this. So I'm looking forward to the collaboration with Mrs. Sledge. I'm looking forward to more collaboration with you and your wife.
Oh, absolutely. That's what we're going to do.
We'll talk, but we also about that action. So I'm waiting for you to cut the cameras off so we can share the information. We would love to send a donation to you guys right now.
Oh,
So please send us your information. We'll get the check in the mail. We would love to support what you guys are doing.
We're going to do all that. Shout out to Kashinda. He's watching. It's always a pleasure to have my big brother on the watch out.
Yes, sir.
The one thing that you did say is about positivity, and that's why Malika and we did something. I think I sent you the YouTube link. We had Cole Hines, the future lottery pick of the NBA draft, him and his best friends, family. We wanted to show some positive young
Cole Anthony.
Cole Anthony. I'm
I seen it. That was powerful.
It's been a long day.
Yeah, it's been a long day.
That was powerful.
To keep it moving and grooving and always dealing with stuff on the outside and having these names together. So I apologize for Cole Anthony. Yes, I sent that link to you. And that brother, he's doing his thing along with Bryce, Council, and Judah. They were doing their thing. Sledge family, give us some parting words. Tell people how to. You have something you want to read, sweetie?
Oh, no. Andre said that's all I'm sure.
He talking about my go-to tat. I have a bunch of tats. Don't start me showing out my tat, Andre. You know, I can't. If I put all the tats of the styles I've studied, I'll be a walking billboard. But that's a good thing anyway. You know. But Sledge family, tell people how they can reach you, how they can support you. Tell them what you need. Give them some parting words of wisdom, some love. Please, the floor is yours.
So thank you. So you can reach us on email at sledgegroup@aol.com, one word. Our website is www.sledgegroup.org. And you can also hit us up on Facebook and like us on Instagram. I think that's how it goes.
Yes.
All at Sledge Group.
I want to make sure, hold on. I'll make sure Malika has it right. Go ahead, Malika.
Sledgegroup@aol.com and sledgegroup.org for your website.
Correct. You know, this time of quarantine, the time of COVID, I've been personally calling it a retreat and a time to go in and look within. And I think that one of the biggest things that we have seen as a community is that there's disparities, but that also no one is coming to save us, right? And so it's time for us to start banding together as community, as group, each one like I'm connected to you, we're all connected to each other, and walk in that connection moving forward so that we can all help each other, right? There's no more individualism. There's no more, I got mine, you figure out how to get yours. We have to come together in order for us to continue to walk forward in our greatness and in our divinity. So those are my parting words. If we have to come together, no one's coming to save us. We are the Calvary people. We are it.
And I just want to concur with that, because I really believe this time is spiritual. I don't think we're really looking at, we're looking at the surface. We're not looking at what's underneath it. We're getting the opportunity to reinvent, reinvest, rebirth, rebuild. And I really don't think, spiritually, that this world, I'm not just talking about Harlem or Indianapolis, but that this world is seeing a spiritual warfare, and only the strong will survive. And I mean, I'm on the phone with warriors and their mates. It's a spiritual warfare, and we have a saying in Sledge Group, brother. Meet them where they at and take them where they need to go. But I think all of us need a period of resting and praying and affirmation and meditation for self. I'm losing brothers. I lost a brother, a martial arts brother last night, Paul Ferguson, one of Earl Bennett's top students. Last night. I woke up to another death this morning of another close brother of mine for 30 years clean. It's really about realizing, and Bill and Malika, it. I've had my second battle of being on a deathbed, and I'm still here. And Almighty God's not done with me. Yeah. He's not done with me because of the work that I'm doing and the manifestation of it. But we really need to kind of take the time to reflect and do what you're doing now, Malik and Foster. I see things, man. I've been called a visionary all my life as a child. Me and little K.A. in the 60s would play in the locker room. As children, and then come out on the floor in Sunnyside Garden and try to tear each other's head off, but we would go home as friends. Yes. Those lessons that we taught and that we learned are now to be brought back to the surface for us to exist on this earth, but not as the same people before COVID-19 or this pandemic. It really is about giving. Our cash app is $ Sledge Group. My wife gave you the website, sledgegroup.org. Zelle. It's easy to make a donation. You know what I realized? You can't take all that money you have with you, man.
You can't.
So why not help somebody? We've been blessed for 20 years of doing this program of giving back freely, unconditionally, and it's come back in tenfold to us. I just want to thank you guys again for inviting us on and allowing us to tell you just a little something about Sledge Group and what we've done. And Brother Hines and Miss Hines, I'm listen, we could be on your front porch in Indianapolis, man.
You stuck with us.
Yeah.
Like I said, the beautiful thing is we're gonna chop it up a little bit after this before we go off. And I think, Mike, and you guys, the Sledge family, I would be there with you on Wednesdays, but we kind of set up for this. But Mike, exactly, please send me there because I am part of the Sledge Group. And I definitely still want to help out as much as I can. And this is my way of giving back. The Hines family, Kareem, like I said, once I met you, I was blown away by your speech. And I told your father, he's here to listen. The story ain't true unless somebody get close on it. I was like, yo, I want to work with him. I want to do something for him. I want to help him. Because let me tell you something. To give back any way you can, still giving back some way, somehow. You know what I'm saying? Like, and connecting you brothers and sisters together. That's Malika's in our way right now. Like I said, these martial arts brothers and sisters are in the group looking like they want to be a part of this. Well, we're going to call you to task, right? That's what it is. This is real talk. Talk about it, be about it. This is what it is. This segues me into something else that I want to say before we get off. I will be dedicating once a month, I'm trying to, or maybe twice a month, another day to the martial arts, the legends in the martial arts. So, Mychal, you will be getting that call.
Thank you.
Yeah, the martial arts history. Kareem, I will be coming to you because that era with you, Jody, Jesse, those brothers, that's an era that, you stopped fighting and you went and did what you had to do. You understand what I'm saying? But you out there banging too. You know what I'm saying? But we need to understand our martial arts history, who we come from, who we learned with, And it's a beautiful thing. I always laugh. I tease Jug all the time. I said, I'm so immersed with so many different martial artists. Nobody knows who I studied with. You know what I'm saying? But they know I studied. So, you know, that's why I threw out that history. Shout out to Juggernaut, my first teacher, you know, along with so many others that I've studied with, Alicia Baz, you know, Ghost, and it was a short time with Ghost, but big shout out to Musa Ware, you know, who I rock with now, and all the other martial artists like Yusoki and Kashinda that I study under verbally. You understand what I'm saying? And Kareem, I learned from you too, and you learned from me. So I want my beautiful wife to give some parting words before we say something.
Hey, Mr. Foster.
Yeah,
Foster.
Go ahead, Kareem, go, please, go ahead.
I want to give a shout out to our Next Level Boys Academy in Atlanta, Georgia, Mr. Gary Davis.
Okay.
This shirt, he provided me with this shirt, Believe in Black Boys. So I want to make sure I shout him out. This is not a new boy or inner beauty shirt. Next Level Boys Academy, we kind of done some collaboration with them during this COVID thing. So I want to make sure, you know, we shout them out. They're doing great work out there in Atlanta, Georgia.
That's what it is. And shout out to everybody that's watching, that will be watching. Like I said, this is Real Talk Chronicles. YouTube it. When you like it, share it. It is what it is, man. Let me tell you something. There's a lot of people out there doing stuff, but they ain't doing it real like this. Go ahead, sweetie. Say what you got to say, baby.
Kareem, I'm glad you mentioned this shirt because I was actually going to ask you about that publicly. So it's Next Level Boys Academy, you said?
Next Level Boys Academy, yes. Mr. Gary Davis founded the program. They're doing amazing work. Amazing work in Atlanta.
Nice, very nice. I like it. And I didn't realize that I actually did meet, well, I saw you because I heard your speech. What was that, about 3 years ago? I was in the audience that day. So I didn't realize when we first chatted earlier that was you. So
it was a blessing to be able to do that.
So I just want to actually read this message from Jocelyn Perdomo. She said, I just have to say, Bill, that you and Malika are doing a great job. This is needed now more than ever. It reminds me of President Kennedy's words, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. In this case, it's our people. We can't wait for our government to help us anymore. We have to help ourselves and each other. God bless you both for doing this. I pray that your program grows and that you continue to bring these great minds together.
Awesome.
And Lamar Thornton said this is great as well. I mean, it's just been love after love after love coming in. So, yeah. And Jerry Fontenay says, congrats to you all.
One more? Shirts. Yes.
Oh yeah, the t-shirts. So yes, it's Next Level Academy.
Next Level Boys Academy.
Next Level Boys Academy.
Can they be purchased?
Yes, without a doubt. Yep.
All right, so I'll put that in the
They have a website. You can buy it off of the website.
Okay, excellent.
But if you send me your address, I'll get you guys a free one because I got a few from them. So I don't want to cut in on his profits, but I would send you guys a free one.
All right.
About 12.
Well, yeah, we're gonna do that. Yeah. But how does she get a shirt right now? What's the
Next Level Boys Academy?
Next Level Boys Academy. So that's what it is. That's how you can purchase that shirt.
Yes, sir.
Real Talk Chronicles?
Yeah, so that's what it's all about. I mean, it's always a lot to say, but I have to tell you, timing is everything. And one thing that we've all talked about and some of the comments that have come in is it takes a village. I grew up in a single parent household. I watched my mom work 2 jobs, you know, put herself through graduate school, and my grandmother and my uncles and aunts, they chipped in and helped raise me. That village helped raise us. Despite being from the heart of North Philly, right in the hood, it didn't matter. You know, she worked her behind off to provide and take care of me, and everybody else in the neighborhood looked out, and we looked out for each other. So that's exactly what you all are doing. You are promoting, you know, looking out for each other and making sure that people have the strength, the mind strength, and those are the tools that we need to get ahead. So it starts with our young people, and we will continue to spread the word. And again, going back to timing, you know, I've always worked in corporate. I've sat in a cubicle 9 to whatever, it seemed like, you know, most of the days of my lives. And this time of the pandemic has afforded me the opportunity to work closer with my husband and developing Real Talk Chronicles. And I'm so appreciative of this. So So thank you.
Thank you. And we have one more mentoring person coming up next week, right?
Oh, yes, yes,
You
yes.
want to tell them about
I
that?
do. Yeah, so everybody knows I'm a Philly girl. All the New Yorkers say, what part of South are you from? I'm not from the South. I'm just from Philly. But there's a lot going on in Philly as well, and we want to highlight that. So next Monday, we have another special guest of ours. His name is Maxwell Brown. And I'm looking forward to that conversation. When I first met Bill and started to learn about the great things that he did, I said, there's someone in Philly I want you to meet. So 5 years later, that's finally going to happen by way of Real Talk Chronicles next week. But he's all about mentoring and uplifting our youth as well. So
Awesome.
tune into that.
I think everybody knows I've done a very extensive segments on youth, mentoring the youth, and I think this would probably be what this. And I think it's just important that there's some positivity going out there and show it to the world. This Wednesday coming up, I have Kevin Branzetti, and we'll have our conversation in law enforcement. Breonna Taylor, police brutality. Why do cops hate Black Lives Matter so much? These are all the questions that we're going to have to discuss and talk. Sledge Group, you know I'm there in spirit. I'll probably try to chime in between 6 and 6:30 real quick before we go live. But you know, I'm always with you in heart and spirit. Everybody, this is Malika Forster. I'm Bill Forster. We have the Hines. We have the Sledge. Mentoring the youth. What are you going to do to help us? That's what's up. It's Real Talk Chronicles. Like and share it. Please stay on after. We're out of here. Yes, gentlemen.
And ladies.
And ladies. Yes. Yes. Well.